Oakland County is partnering with the Michigan College Access Network for Ticket to Tuition. MCAN and MyLeap have launched a sweepstakes offering $10 $50,000 and $40 $10,000 prizes to Michigan students who complete the FAFSA for the first time for the 2025-26 academic year. The initiative aims to boost FAFSA completion rates, which are essential for accessing federal, state, and institutional financial aid. Here to tell us more about the program is the executive director of the Michigan College Access Network, Ryan Fewins-Bliss. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Talk about this.
Absolutely glad to be getting into this conversation. Even though this year's school year is starting to come to an end, people are always looking ahead to the next year. How is MCAN collaborating with local organizations in West Bloomfield to promote FAFSA completion and awareness of the Ticket to Tuition sweepstakes?
That's a great question. We're working with local community-based organizations, local K-12 schools, local intermediate school districts, and local community colleges to get the message to people in your community that you can access college. You can still access college in the fall if you fill out the FAFSA, and you will see how much money you're able to access to get to college. In Michigan, we have the new community college guarantee. So if you live within a community college district, which folks in Oakland County certainly do, you can access a free associate's degree or certificate from your local community college. The FAFSA is the ticket into that program.
That's absolutely right. It's the ticket to the next phase of your education. Ryan, what specific challenges do students in communities like West Bloomfield face regarding college access, and how does MCAN aim to address them?
Well, number one is always the cost. It is expensive to go to college. We have started to address this with new financial aid. In the last 5 years, the state has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in new financial aid that didn't exist when I went to college here in Michigan. And so we've been attacking that piece of it. The FAFSA, again, is the ticket to access those funds. But we also hear from students and families that housing is expensive, transportation is expensive, childcare is expensive for students who may be parents. So we try to help students figure out how to wrap around those other services so that they can access education. And then their family and themselves can be more successful and can grow in their income and their stability.
That's right. And people like you, Ryan, are doing so much work to help make sure that everybody has those funds and the money to afford college. And you're trying to achieve the 60 by 30 goal. Could you elaborate on what that initiative is and how it impacts communities in Oakland County?
Yes, so back in 2019, in Governor Whitmer's first address to the state, really, she set a goal of 60 by 30. It's the first time the state has set a college attainment goal. 60 by 30 means 60% of Michigan residents will have a degree or post-secondary certificate by the year 2030. And that's because of economic data that says the state will need that many people with certificates and degrees for our economy to continue growing, or we import the talent from other communities, other states, and other countries. We want to make sure Michigan folks have an economic opportunity here. So the governor set that, the legislature then codified that in the state budget every year since. And so we're working toward that. What's interesting is it's a statewide goal. So local communities, local areas like Oakland County certainly needs more than 60% for your economy. You probably are more like an 80% need. So your 80% will cover for some of the more rural communities who need a smaller percent than 60%. That's how we get the 60% statewide goal.
I like that. Everybody chipping in to help make sure that everybody else is doing just as well. And Ryan, what metrics does MCAN use to assess the effectiveness of programs like Ticket to Tuition in increasing college enrollment and completion rates?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be a surprise. We measure college enrollment and completion rates. We measure FAFSA completion, certainly as a leading indicator to that. We measure the number of students in Michigan going to college. We measure the number of students who are persisting in college, which means they are staying and getting credits toward graduation. And then we measure the number of people graduating. And then as a larger community-based number, we measure the people in Michigan who have a certificate or a degree. That's where that 60 by 30% comes from. That's anybody who lives in a Michigan community having a certificate or a degree. So we measure the entire community, and then we also measure the high schoolers who have come from that community.
Leaving no stone unturned. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have MCAN Executive Director Ryan Fewins-Bliss talking about the ticket to tuition sweepstakes that's going to be taking effect for the 2025 and 26 academic year. Now, Ryan, I would imagine something like this, as great as what everything that MCAN is doing, it's not something you can accomplish by yourselves. You need some help from local schools and local organizations to help really push everything together. How can local schools and community organizations partner with MCAN to support students' post-secondary aspirations?
That's a great question. What we know works best in our K-12 schools are trained, licensed school counselors who know how to do this work. We know that there is a dearth of school counselors.
Hold on, Ryan. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'll re-ask it. Sorry, we had a quick little flub right here. I'm just going to set everything up again, and I'll ask you that question again. So, okay. Leaving no stone unturned. I think that's what I said. Okay, hold on. All right. Leaving no stone unturned. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we're talking with the Executive Director of the Michigan College Access Network, Ryan Fewins-Bliss, about the Ticket to Tuition program that's going to be going into effect for the 2025-26 academic school year. Now, Ryan, something like this, I would imagine you would need some help from a lot of people and a lot of organizations throughout Greater West Bloomfield. How can local schools and community organizations in Greater West Bloomfield partner with MCAN to support students' post-secondary aspirations?
Well, we know that the best way for schools to get involved in this is to have a trained and licensed school counselor with a caseload that they can manage. We know that across the state, there is a dearth of school counselors when we need them most. And so school counselors are where we invest a ton of time and energy because we know they are the best route to getting students where they want to go in their post-secondary plans. But it's not just about the K-12 schools, community-based organizations, after-school programs, the colleges themselves. We're all working together to try to get students to where they want to get to in life. We use the term right match, right fit, that there's a college for every student. You just have to find the right match and fit college. And that's what we're all working toward. How do we get everyone to where they need to go? And that might be a local community college, and that might be Harvard.
That's right. Everyone's doing the work. And I love that shout out for the school counselors. They do so much, and they really help to put a lot of these students on the path to success. And that's kind of what I want to get into right now. And that's that long-term impact. Beyond financial incentives, what long-term strategies is MCAN implementing to sustain increased college access and success in Michigan?
We use systems change as our framework for what we do here at MCAN. We're trying to make the K-12 system more student and post-secondary friendly, and we're partnering with them to do that. We're partnering with colleges to make sure they are focused on retention of students, persistence toward completion, and then completion. It's not enough just to send folks to college. They've got to be able to complete and get that certificate or degree. So we're working with those systems to make sure they are more student friendly and that they are aiming toward post-secondary education and completion.
That's amazing. And Ryan, something like this, I'm curious to know what this means for someone like you. What inspired your commitment to college access, and how does your personal journey influence your leadership at MCAN?
Listen, I waltzed into college with very few barriers. My mom filled out the FAFSA for me. I got into the college that I wanted. And when I looked around looking for my classmates from high school, they weren't there. I didn't realize there were so many barriers to college for a lot of people, for most people in this country and in our state. And so that privilege that I had really hit me hard. And I learned that I needed to make sure that there was a pathway for other people, because college changed my life. It made me the man who I am. It made me the professional who I am. Everybody deserves that opportunity to have their life changed for the better and designed by them. College lets you do that. And so that's what I've committed my professional life to, is making it so other people have just as much access and just ease of access as I had when I went to college.
I love that answer, making college accessibility easy for everyone. Ryan, I got one more quick question before we let you go, because I'm sure a lot of people watching are going to want to learn more about the Ticket to Tuition sweepstakes. Where can people go to learn a little more information about this program?
The website, tickettotuition.org, and you are able to see all the information about how to register. And I want to be clear, this is open to every new applicant to FAFSA, whether you're an adult, whether you're a K-12 student. If you filled out the FAFSA for the first time this academic year, you are eligible to register for the big prizes. You got to register by May 16th, but all of those folks are eligible, and we'd encourage you to text that number today.
That's absolutely right. Some big prizes for people to fill out the FAFSA and to get them a big head start on the next phase of their college education. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Anytime. Thanks.